Mississippi. We're going to take you out for kickoff of LSU and Mississippi State. We'll, of course, keep you up to date on the finish between Wisconsin and Illinois. Now let's send you down to Starkville, Mississippi.
We welcome you to Davis-Wade Stadium in Starkville, the 97th meeting between longtime Southeastern Conference rivals LSU and Mississippi State. The Tigers come in number 7, undefeated. Mississippi State comes in winless and trying to end an 8-game losing streak, their longest in 35 years. Dave Barnett with Bill Curry and Heather Cox from Starkville, where Mississippi State has won the toss and elected to defer. That's Brent Smith. He has it teed up, and LSU is set to receive the opening kick. Devery Henderson back with Skylar Green. And you would never know this is a Mississippi State team working on an 8-game losing streak. A very upbeat, pump crowd behind them. On the return, Henderson. And 21 yards. Nick Saban in his 4th year in charge of the Tigers, off one of the biggest wins anywhere, whether he's been at Michigan State or LSU, and that is over Georgia last week. Unscored on in the first quarter, 8 straight games. Just the opposite problem for Jackie Sherrill, the dean of SEC coaches. His team has been outscored 49-0 in the first quarter this year. First play from scrimmage, Matt Mock, complete to Henderson, and a gain of 9. Matt Mock, the 24-year-old junior, Jasper, Indiana, 3 years in the Chicago Cubs system as a catcher. Saban originally recruited him to Michigan State, and after his minor league career, he signed with LSU 3 years ago. They call him Papa. Some of his teammates were in 7th grade when he signed out of high school. Up the middle goes Joseph Adai and knocked straight back. Ronald Fields leads the charge for the Bulldogs. And 3rd and 3 coming for LSU. This is an LSU team, 4-0, off the win over Georgia, as we said last week, but with a history of letdowns following big impact wins. And it's something they've discussed all week, something they're trying to overcome. Follow up a big performance with one the very next week. Mock out of the gun, under pressure, and the throw for his tight end Eric Edwards, and he makes a stretching catch at the 36-yard line. And those of you who have watched the finish of Wisconsin and Illinois, welcome to Starkville, Davis-Wade Stadium. Number 7 LSU just taking the opening kick against Mississippi State. Dave Barnett with Bill Curry, Heather Cox. This is the 97th meeting between these two. A series dominated lately by LSU. They've won the last 3. 10 of the last 11 meetings with the Bulldogs. LSU just picked up a first down on a 3rd and 3 pass to Eric Edwards. It is holding against the Tigers, and they'll march back and have to do it again. So Matt Mock, the 24-year-old junior, Jasper, Indiana, former Indiana Mr. Baseball, 3 years a catcher in the Chicago Cubs organization. Looking at a 3rd and 12. Out of the gun, 3 wides on the right side. And time to throw intended for Michael Clayton and incomplete. So thanks to the holding penalty, Mississippi State gets a quick 3 and out.
And what a desperately needed 3 and out. The way the first quarter has gone, these guys are accustomed to being ripped early, and it's so important, more than perhaps ever since Jackie Sherrill's been here, that his team play well in the early going in this game.
Donnie Jones will punt for LSU. Nick Turner is deep for Mississippi State. Into the wind, Jones, and lays into it nicely. Nose down spiral. About 10 on the return by Turner. And Kevin Fant and the Mississippi State offense ready to go to work. Fant, who had an unscheduled leave of absence last spring, had to decide whether he would come back for his senior year. A little bit burned out on football. At the suggestion of Jackie Sherrill, he took a week off, came back, and had his fires rekindled. And is coming off a 360-yard, 3-touchdown game against Houston, but it was typical of these first 3 games for Mississippi State. Offense played great, no defense, and they lost. 0-3 coming in. They start from their own 40. And we give to Nick Turner, sophomore out of Atlanta, who takes it for a couple off tackle. The Mississippi State offensive lineup, a group that has averaged better than 32 points per game.
Justin Jenkins, number 8 there, got 101 catches for 1,491 yards, 13 touchdowns in his career. He is the go-to guy for this Mississippi State offense.
Leads the SEC, averaging 8 catches, 132 yards per game, 7th in the country. Shotgun after a gain of 3. And again on the right side, it's Turner, and Nick Turner across midfield with a first down. The offensive line for Mississippi State. This is a group that, by and large, has done its job pretty well. 154 yards on the ground, nearly 300 through the air. Second best passing offense to the SEC, so they've been protecting Fant pretty nicely on the whole.
Up front on defense, Chad Lavallee never stays blocked. He might get blocked, but he gets off. He's the emotional charge for LSU.
Aaron Lumpkin went in motion. Third straight carry, Turner, this time off left tackle, and picks up about 4 yards. The linebacking core for LSU, missing Adrian Mays, did not make the trip. Has a wrist injury, so he's replaced by Cameron Vaughn on the weak side. Turner and Alexander, the other 2 starting backers. And the secondary, Webster has been terrific since moving from wide receiver. 10 career interceptions. He led the SEC with 7 last year when he was brand new at the position. Career Daniels round out the defensive backfield. And Fant forced to scramble. Throws over the middle for Ray Bivens with a first down, and Mississippi State reaching the 38 of LSU. Nick Saban preaching all week, Bill, the 24-hour rule. Huge win over Georgia. Forget it. Let's follow it up and play even better this week.
I don't think Nick really wants them to enjoy it 24 hours. I think he wants them to start thinking about the next one right away, because he wants to focus on just the next assignment, not reveling in the past.
Movement off the right side of the LSU front where Chad Lavallee lines up.
But Chad Lavallee pressured the quarterback on the last snap. You're going to see him in the Mississippi State backfield all night. He's not upset about this.
Ball foul.
You know what the call is. They're going to call it on Big Chad, but he's the guy that lights the fire for LSU. He's going to guess on the snap count. His D-line coach is going to let him do that occasionally, and he's going to make a mistake occasionally, but he's also going to be disrupting an awful lot of the Mississippi State offense.
Lavallee, 24 years of age, a senior out of Marksville, gives a lot of maturity to the LSU defense. So 1st and 5, draw play. Turner fights his way inside the 30 and then driven back. Jackie Sherrill is the dean of SEC coaches, his 13th year in charge of Mississippi State. They're working on an 8-game losing streak. That's the longest for this program since a winless 1968 season, and they have yet to score in the first quarter. The problem for Mississippi State has been giving up not big plays, huge plays defensively through the air. Offense has been fine. They've lost 3 by an average margin of 6 points, so it's been a frustrating start from the offensive side of things for Mississippi State, because they've pretty well done their job. Turner driven back. Eric Alexander along with Marcus Spears.
The one aspect of the offense that they're disappointed in is the number of turnovers. The offense has turned the ball over 12 times. The defense has only gotten 5 turnovers, so they have a -7 turnover margin, and that usually means you're not going to win.
So a 3rd and 2 coming. Georgia last week got inside the LSU 35 times, and the Tigers held them to a total of 3 points. It included 3 missed field goals and a lost fumble. These Bulldogs right after 30. And Fant with a short pattern. Bivens fights and makes the grab, and he's inside the 25 with another Mississippi State first down.
Travis Daniels, number 29 on the defense here. The rule says if there's simultaneous possession, the ball belongs to the offense. This is actually not possession by the defense. I don't know, but they both had their hands on it, which means it is the offense's ball. And this is a very promising drive, much like Georgia began the game against LSU last week, but without success once they got down here.
They've been shut out. Well, Mississippi State's lost to Houston last week. 8th play of the drive. First possession of the night going well so far for Mississippi State. And back onto the ground for his carry, Jarius Norwood, sophomore from Brandon, Mississippi. Mississippi Player of the Year, Parade All-America a couple of years ago. If Mississippi State, they've got a ways to go, Bill, but if they can get an early lead, this place will go nuts. It's amazing the support they got when they came out for a team that's lost 8 straight games.
I have sensed it ever since I walked on this campus this week. I did not expect it. The stands are almost full. They're vocal. They're loud. They're supporting their guys.
So amid all the speculation about Jackie Sherrill and his future, not only have we not heard a boo, you'd think they have won 8 straight games. Whistles and flags before the snap.
Very important.
Dead ball foul, delay of the game against the offense. The 25-second clock expired. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Rogers Redding is our referee tonight. First quarter issues. This is the last offensive touchdown for Mississippi State. Auburn last year. Meanwhile, LSU, the last offensive touchdown allowed in a first quarter, way back to that memorable Bluegrass Miracle game at Lexington last year. Remember how that one ended? Avery Henderson, 75 yards at the gun. Fant, long out. Bivens again, right at the first down marker. Fant to Bivens on 3 occasions on this opening possession.
It's very important, as I was saying a moment ago, that Mississippi State keep this momentum, keep this crowd in the game, because it's a terribly important factor when you've got so many young players playing, and that's especially on defense. But even on the offensive side, a young offensive line, both starting guards have been out all year. Beautiful execution, and nothing helps more as an equalizer than rhythm passing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set throw, almost impossible to defend a perfectly thrown ball, and that's what that was.
3rd catch, Ray Bivens had 10 catches on the year coming in. Gaucher, Mississippi product. And with Justin Jenkins drawing the attention you would figure the SEC's leading receiver would get, it's Bivens on this possession. Fumbled by Turner, and LSU comes away with it. Melvin Oliver.
This is when the wheels have been coming off for Mississippi State. You start out with a promising stop, then you have an even more promising drive. This is careless ball handling. The job of the back is to set the pocket to get the right elbow up. It didn't happen between Turner and Fant. Fant's job is to seat the ball in the back stomach. That didn't happen either. Call it on both of them.
Oliver, who started for the injured Marquise Hill at defensive end, turns it over to the LSU offense at their 15. And Mock with the give up the middle, and again stuffed is Joseph Adai, the sophomore from Houston. As we check the rest of the LSU offensive starters.
Michael Clayton, number 14, will be all over the field for the offense tonight. He can even play defense. The guy can do anything. He's one of the best football players I have ever seen. For before he sprained his ankle, he was covering kicks, and he's the best at that as well.
6'4", 200-pound junior out of Baton Rouge. Mock out of the gun. Second down and 10. Henderson breaks the tackle. And another one. And near the 40-yard line. 24 yards, and Henderson did most of it on his own. Finally dragged down by Jeremy Johnson. So Clayton is not the only weapon that Mississippi State has to worry about.
Watch him block, Dave. I told you Michael Clayton's a football player. Okay, here he comes off the ball. You ain't going to cover me. Knocks him on the ground. Now watch this. His teammate catches it. Boom!
Oh.
McDougal on the back of his head. Michael Clayton, football player.
2 decleaters on one play by a wideout. This is Skylar Green with great balance. And a gain of 15 for Green. Let's look at the guys blocking up front. LSU. This may be Saban's best offensive line, loaded with leadership with Whitworth, Livings, Wilkerson, Peterman, and Reed.
And across from them will be a front four that will include number 40, Jason Clark. He doesn't show up here because he's going to start out at linebacker, but he's also going to play defensive end. I talked to Coach Sherrill just before the kickoff.
Mock play action. Going deep. Henderson picked off. Intercepted by Odell Bradley, and Mississippi State strikes back.
Odell Bradley, number 6, the senior leader in this very young secondary, made a beautiful play on the football. That's just the opposite of what's been happening.
The first interception all season for Mississippi State. LSU's promising drive ends. Exchange of turnovers in the first quarter. Let's welcome on the sidelines tonight Heather Cox.
Dave, thanks so much. Talk all week has revolved around why LSU needs to be just as cautious and just as prepared for this group of Bulldogs as it was a week ago for the ones from Georgia. Both coach and program have first-hand experience at the letdown following a big win. Flashback to '97 when LSU upset number 1 Florida, then lost to an unheralded Ole Miss. For Coach Saban, his '99 Michigan State team beat number 3 Michigan, then lost their next 2. Many examples of why Coach Saban says this is the defining game and even more important than last week's stunner.
Says if we beat Georgia and lose to Mississippi State, what did we really accomplish last week? So after the first interception of the season for the Bulldog defense, Fant off play action, scrambling, firing, and complete for 11 yards. Justin Jenkins' first catch of the night. And figure there will be a crowd around Jenkins. And especially look for 13 Corey Webster to be a part of that crowd all night. Averaging 8 catches, 132 yards per game. Last 2 games, each 9 catches, career highs. 164 yards against Tulane, 172 yards for Jenkins last week against Houston. It's a Morris Watts offense. Former LSU assistant, former Saban assistant. Turner coming right back off his fumble. Nick Turner to the 40. We've had a chance to catch our breath a little bit. Welcome again to Starkville. Dave Barnett and Bill Curry. If people only look at the records in this game, I think they're going to be shocked.
Yeah, I think so. And all week long, the Mississippi State coaches have been preaching that these players have got to have amnesia, put the past behind them and come out and play football with enthusiasm, and they are flat out doing it so far.
Long count and 4 wides. And over the middle for the tight end, Aaron Lumpkin. Jack Hunt draped around him with close coverage and a marker back in the offensive backfield against the Bulldogs.
Mississippi State's come out here with enormous enthusiasm, and you don't know what you're going to see with a team that has struggled like this. They're called for holding here.
Spot, replay, second down.
They fumbled the football. They had a delay penalty down deep before the fumble. Now they've got a holding penalty. These are the little kinds of things that they cannot allow to deflate them. And when I said that Coach Cooper, I was talking specifically about Ron Cooper. Amnesia, you got to forget it and play the next play. Let's see if they can do it.
Perfect night in Starkville, Davis Wade Stadium. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Heather Cox. Each team's turned it over in the first quarter. No score. Fant play fake again. Ready to go deep, one-on-one, and overthrowing Jenkins. And there was the single coverage with Corey Webster. That matchup, Bill's going to be a lot of fun to watch tonight.
That's right. Coach Saban has enormous confidence in Webster, and I believe that's a growing confidence. He was a receiver, and he wasn't real tough. They moved him over to defense. He's actually caught more balls than he did when he was a receiver. And he's become their guy, their shutdown corner. He did a great job last week against Georgia, and he's going to be locked on to Jenkins a lot tonight.
He is the reigning SEC Defensive Player of the Week. 9 tackles against the Georgia Bulldogs. Clinching interception. 3rd and 19. And whistles and flags. LSU blitzing at least 4 linebackers and DBs, it looked like.
There's no foul. We have timeout. Mississippi State. That's their first timeout of the first half.
That's a very risky thing that Kevin Fant just did. When you're in the gun and the center has discretion and he snaps the ball sans snap count, meaning no snap count, then that can happen before you get timeout called and you're in trouble.
So Jackie Sherrill trying to finally get that breakthrough win. Get some of his thoughts when we come back live.
Back in Starkville, where Mississippi State has been outscored 49-0 in the first quarter of this season. And Coach Sherrill, all week long, the motto has been a quick start. What adjustments have you made to assure that?
Well, the players just playing hard, and hopefully we can continue to play hard real quick. And if we hadn't fumbled down there, we probably would have some points. But you can't make a mistake like that against LSU.
We certainly wish you the best of luck throughout this game.
Thank you, but we say hello to all our Far East Bulldog Club over there watching it.
Certainly so. Thanks, Coach.
Coach with the troops in mind.
That will thrill them to death. It really will.
Even as he has a 3rd and 19. And Fant had to get rid of it quickly under pressure. Antonio Hargrove, the target. So nothing really changed for LSU during the timeout. They still pin their ears back.
Well, those troops over there really do. It's amazing. They have the capacity. They have to get to televisions, and they follow their teams. And Coach Sherrill was concerned about one specific group that he had met with earlier this year before they left.
Jared Cook with the wind at his back, and Chiron Carey standing at his 25-yard line. Low. Carey with a head of steam. And then hemmed in and blasted at the 35. 45 on the kick. 3:40 in the quarter. LSU nothing. Mississippi State nothing.
This week on Way Parker, I should say, that's your game winner, Urban Meyer, 1-0.
Wild finish. Joseph Adai, another carry, and across midfield goes the sophomore from Houston. Leading rusher of a very balanced ground attack for LSU.
Joseph Adai runs with abandon. He's reckless. He had a couple of fumbles against Western Illinois that was really uncharacteristic. He got jerked out of the game, and it's amazing how well he takes care of the ball now.
Not even a pass breakup, much less interception first 3 games for Mississippi State before Bradley's interception. Chiron Carey came in only 4 yards behind Adai. That's how balanced the workload has been for those 2 tailbacks for the Tigers. 261 for Adai, 257 yards for Carey. although Carey showed some signs of being the go-to man in the fourth quarter against Georgia. Last week he had 10 fourth quarter carries as they finished off that win. So here's a 3rd and 3. And Mock out of the gun, the quick out, and it's complete. And Clayton has a first down to the 36-yard line. Demetric Wright with the tackle, a gain of 11.
Mississippi State has made the decision that they're not going to sit back in a zone and let Mock pick them to pieces with these great receivers. They're coming after him. But when you blitz, when you send a maximum number of blitzes and play man-to-man with what's called zero coverage, meaning no free safety, you have to get there, and that time they didn't.
So the first catch for Clayton, on pace to end his career as their all-time leading rusher. Flag down, Carey, breaking the tackle, cutting back, and down to the 1-yard line, getting inside of Kevin Dockery. If the play stands, is 35 yards. But a marker way back at the line of scrimmage. And Rogers Redding has had his discussion, ready for the call.
We have offside against the defense. The penalty is declined. First down.
35 yards down to the 1.
Chiron Carey is not a small man. He's just not very tall. He's 5'6", but very powerfully built. Wonderful. What Coach Saban says, nobody plants his foot better than Chiron, and you saw it. He planted that right foot, exploded up the field with a long run down to the 1.
And the Tigers pack it in with a power eye, and the give to a Dye, who is not in. It's a foot or so, down to about a foot away.
These are the situations in which Mississippi State and its fragile psyche are at risk. They need something good to happen. They need to knock a ball loose here and run the other way. They need something good to happen so that they don't fall back into the doldrums of getting behind early.
Been outscored in the first quarter this year, their first 3 games, 49-0. Second and goal for the Tigers. And pulled back is Carey. He will lose to about the 2, and it'll be 3rd and goal from there.
Goal line defense is a combination of men down in the trenches, root hog or die, knock them back, and then DBs coming off the corner. Dockery right here, beautiful, number 30. No place to go up the pipe. Dockery makes the hit 2 yards deep, and now it's 3rd and 2.
Probably not a stretch to say this is the biggest play of the year to date for Mississippi State. They run option, and there's room for Carey to get around for the touchdown.
Wonderful execution. They probably went to the line of scrimmage with a check package, meaning if they had enough numbers, one way or the other, they come with the option. Mock is not a gifted option quarterback, nor does he have to be. Willie Evans on the chase, nobody on the pitch man, easy touchdown.
Ryan Godet for the extra point. A nice job handling that snap. Carey with the touchdown, and it's 7-0 LSU. Well, tomorrow, the final day of the regular baseball season at ESPN2 will have the full day of coverage as the hunt for October winds up. It will begin at 1:30 Eastern, continue at 4 Eastern, ESPN2 with coverage of any and all meaningful games, including a coverage of the Braves, Phillies, Brewers, Astros, Pirates, Cubs, Dodgers, Giants, milestones that may fall, Barry Bonds' chase of 660 home runs to tie Willie Mays. All of that coverage, the hunt for October tomorrow on ESPN2. Yeah, you're going to see the cowbells. You're going to hear the cowbells. You get the feeling that the officials are kind of selectively ignoring that rule.
Well, there are not many cowbells.
But the ones that they do see and they do hear, I think they just assume not have to throw a flag.
Well, especially when it's been 56-0. I mean, they're human beings, and for 16 cowbells ringing, or however many there are, it's nothing like it used to sound. I used to come in here and coach with our Alabama teams, and you couldn't hear yourself think. It's just not the same. Most people are not bringing them in.
Chris Jackson's kick returned by Fred Reed out to the 28-yard line.
I got to say, I've never seen fans like this. This team has lost 8 games in a row, Dave, and these people are so enthusiastic and they're so anxious for their team to succeed, and they're encouraging them. And at some point, the lights are going to come on for this young team, and they'll be able to respond without shooting themselves in the foot. And everybody here that's in maroon hopes it's tonight.
The thing to consider is the 3 opponents Mississippi State has played are better than I think people are giving him credit for so far. Here's Norwood on the toss sweep, and he is hauled down for a loss. Great penetration, LSU, Alexander, and Lavallee. And on that note, the end of the first quarter, LSU gets a late touchdown by Chiron Carey. And the first quarter's utility continues. It is an emergency for the Bulldogs. Friday nights before home games, they have the Bulldog Bash here in Starkville.
Mike Golick was here.
No one leaves hungry. Although that would describe Mississippi State's football condition at the moment. Another scoreless first quarter, 7-0 LSU. And the Bulldogs will begin the second quarter with a 2nd and 17 from their own 21-yard line. This offense averaging 450 yards per game, 2nd in the conference, 22nd in the country, 32 points per game, no wins to show, and down early. Again in come from behind mode. Stepping up, feeling pressure, Fant, and tripped up at the 24-yard line. Marcus Spears there for the Tigers. The ESPN2 game track through the first 15 minutes. First interception of the season by the Bulldog defense. Odell Bradley took the underthrow. It is now 56-0 opponents over the Bulldogs on the option to carry toward the end of the quarter. Fant got 3, 3rd and 14. Time to step up and hit Bivens, whose pattern was 5 yards shy of the first down marker. So on 3rd and long, not what Mississippi needed even close.
No, and Nick Saban works his magic, and he's known as the maestro of the blitz. He and his young defensive coordinator, Will Muschamp. But that time they faked the blitz, dropped out, and ended up with only a 2-man route, easily covered.
Robert Walls on to punt, and Shank takes a little bit of a Bulldog hop and now reverses field, and it'll be killed at the 43-yard line. Walls gets only a 25-yarder off.
LaRon Landry, number 30, got pressure. He might have gotten a piece of that punt.
Might have. Early second, 7-0 LSU. Offensive discussion for the Bulldogs as they trail 7-0. Meanwhile, defensive changes this week. Bill, Ron Cooper, the defensive coordinator, has moved upstairs. What's the significance there?
Well, he wants to be sure he gets the right packages on the field, meaning groups of players to manage against what LSU is doing. That has not been happening. That's what we gathered from our conversations.
Tigers start with great field position, and Henderson scooting up the sideline. They'll mark him out of bounds at midfield. And let's check in on USC Cal. Is that one still close, Matt Weiner?
Yes, it is, Dave. In fact, it's headed to overtime. SC had to come back from 2 touchdowns down, then had to get this field goal to tie it up. Ryan Killeen, 33-yarder, drilled it. We are headed to OT in Berkeley.
So So number 3 in serious danger of falling from the unbeaten ranks. Tyrone Carey, the smallest back ever to gain 100 yards for LSU. 5'6", 198, 124 yards against Western Illinois. And he runs out of the shoe. 20 unbeatens coming into this weekend, 14 winless, and one of each was represented here. 4-0 LSU, 0-3 Mississippi State. This is the first carry of the night for LSU's Justin Vincent, who rambles for 14 yards.
Beautiful trap blocking by Stephen Peterman, number 72, the big guy, recent father, just graduated right here, lined up at right guard. He's going to pull to his left and kick out. Beautiful job, big hole. Kamal Jackson on the receiving end of that trap block. He's still looking from where Big Stephen came from.
All that energy that was in this stadium before the opening kick, and very little of that is evident right now. Another carry by Vincent. And if it turns into 14-0, then you're worried about the floodgates really being open.
Well, what happens then is the young guys start getting that sense of deja vu. Uh-oh, here it goes again. And they get that Brook Trout stare. And that's where the coaches have to stay in their head and make them just play the next play and not start thinking about what happened last week or what our record is in the first quarter. We've given up 56 points. Just keep playing hard and make something happen.
Here is 2nd and 8. And Mock off the play fake. Henderson is open. He's inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal, LSU. A strike from Mock for 19 yards. Jeremy Johnson, true freshman, on the coverage. Henderson converted running back. Turn star wide receiver.
This is one of those routes that takes a lot of time to develop. There's excellent protection. Look at this pocket. Beautiful job of protection. Plenty of time for Mock to stand in there and take his time and deliver the football against the blitz.
To be impressed by the methodical nature of this LSU offense. Now, Mississippi State striking back on defense with Marvin Birdsong hitting Tyrone Carey for a loss. Marvin, sophomore, Longview, Texas. His brother Sean, a defensive back here the last 4 years.
This is another reason that Ron Cooper, the defensive coordinator, is in the booth. He can see everything that's happening on the field. He can counterman what he believes is going to come next based on LSU's tendencies and can hopefully knock them in the backfield, which is what just happened. That was called a rundown blitz, 1st and 10 blitz.
And it works for a loss of 6 yards. 2nd and goal. Mock to the end zone for Clayton, just out of his reach. Even at 6'4", can't quite haul that one in. True freshman Quentin Culberson had that coverage.
We've talked about what a great athlete Clayton is. Here's a true freshman, Quentin Culberson, who is equally adept as an athlete. Look at his foot movement. Look at how he stays right with his man. Finds the football. Had it been thrown in there, he would have still been able to strip it. Nice job by the rookie Culberson.
17-year-old true freshman, one of the few ever to start at corner in an opener for Sherrill. Mock settling short and incomplete, intended for the tight end David Jones.
Most importantly, Dave, did you notice his birthday?
What about his birthday?
His birthday is October 21st.
What about October 21st?
That's my birthday. See, great athletes are born on October 21st. Good gracious. David Jones is going to catch it in the film. They'll be talking about putting those hands on a clock. Son, put those hands on a clock. You just got to get soft hands and catch the ball.
Gaudet drills the 32-yarder. And it is 10-0 LSU. So they get points. 10:40 to go in the 2nd quarter.
College Football Saturday, brought to you by Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser. And by Union Pacific, building America.
Redshirt freshman Ryan Godet from New Orleans makes it 10-0. LSU. Matt Mock getting that drive down to easy field goal range. And Mississippi State with Fred Reed and Nick Turner back deep. Reed bringing this one out 2 yards deep to the 18-yard line and stuck by LaRon Landry there.
Very important trying to hold off the demons of ages past and performances past. 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line for LSU. And here's Ron Cooper with the rundown blitz and a big hit in the backfield by Marvin Birdsong. With that play, 2nd and 16, Mississippi State was able to keep them off the board in terms of a touchdown, hold them to a field goal, and now hopefully give the offense a chance to do something.
Just 63 total yards so far for the Mississippi State offense. And we'll have flags on the motion. Signs of disorganization on the last couple of possessions, and we'll see the illegal shift 5-yard penalty here. Tomorrow night, 2 high-scoring attacks meeting. Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, the Indianapolis Colts, visiting Aaron Brooks and the New Orleans Saints. Peyton Manning going home. Colts Saints tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN and available nationwide on ESPN HD. It all begins with NFL Primetime presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern.
Dave, we keep talking about what the coaches at Mississippi State are attempting to do, make their men live with amnesia about these bad things that happen. But if you keep doing things to yourself, if you keep shooting yourself in the foot, it's hard to get to thinking positively.
This is exactly what they're trying to avoid. A 1st and 15. And in the moving pocket, underthrown, intended for Ray Bibbins. Incomplete, down to Heather.
Dave, while the mood in the stands has definitely quieted, the mood here on the sideline is still very energized. In fact, the coaches told us that this team actually plays better when behind. They're more relaxed. They don't feel as much pressure. The defense was talking about how they still need to be more and more physical if they want to win this game. And quarterback Kevin Fant actually came over to the defense and said, let's get this done, guys, right now.
They play better when behind. They practically played all season when behind.
Well, they have, and I'll talk about that when we get a chance.
I mean, big time behind. 28-0. Twice they've been behind. Fant intercepted. Overthrew Jenkins. Jack Hunt has the pick for the Tigers, and a big return. Winds his way inside the 15. May come back all the way. Finally caught at the 2. David Stewart prevents a touchdown. It's a 33-yard return on the 2nd interception of the year for Hunt.
Blitz pressure from Lionel Turner, number 58 middle linebacker. And Kevin Fant is a veteran. He's having a good year. He knows better than to loft the ball down the middle late. It is the single cardinal rule that every quarterback coach teaches, and certainly Morris Watts, the offensive coordinator, has taught him better than that.
So the Tigers with a 1st and goal from the 2. Carey already with 1 touchdown, and mark up another one. And a senior quarterback, Bill, has got to know better. That is,
well, the senior quarterback
handed right over, gift wrap, 7 points.
You go talk to the defense and say, guys, let's get this done. But excuse me, I'm going to give them the ball at our 2-yard line. That doesn't go over well with the big guys up front on defense.
17-0.
That's inexcusable.
Senior maybe pressing. Whatever the excuse is not a good one. Look at it again when we come back.
Kevin Fant, quarterback for Mississippi State, will be under pressure on this. He will see the free safety dropping. Jack Hunt is going to the deep middle. That's his job on man-free coverage, and he just lofts it straight up into his hands. That's non-thinking by a senior leader, and he's been an outstanding leader this year, according to his coaches, but he just might have nailed a big one in the top of the coffin for his team.
6 picks in the last 6 quarters. And a rare fair catch on a kickoff.
That wasn't really a fair catch.
Executed by Darnell Jones.
If somebody would have hit him, they'd have gotten away with it.
So Mississippi State has trailed both Oregon and Houston 28-0. They now trail LSU 17-0. And what else can go wrong?
Well, I don't know, David. But unfortunately, and I've been in this situation, I would love to stand up here and say, well, I've never experienced anything like Mississippi State is. But most people, if you coach long enough, you get in a situation like this, and it's a psychology of just expecting bad things to happen, and so you create them. The human mind works such that we don't get what we want, we get what we think about. And the trick is to make yourself, drill yourself into thinking about what you want and executing. That's what Nick Saban's teaching his team, and they're getting it.
Rogers Redding finally ready with a call.
Wow.
During the kick, we have holding against the receiving team. The penalty is 10 yards from the previous spot. Re-kick.
Somebody had to pull a rule book out for that one.
What was there to hold?
Well, there are a lot of things you can hold. I was an offensive lineman, so there are a lot of places you can grab a hold of a defender. Most anything you can get your hands on.
Remarkable how this crowd continues to try and get itself pumped up.
Well, they just cheer for the darndest things. The officials had made a really ridiculous error, put the ball in the wrong place. The penalty was executed in reverse, or imposed in reverse, and when the official got it right, he got a big cheer, because right now they're struggling for something to cheer about.
Nick Saban 2 years ago, an SEC championship, a Sugar Bowl victory. Now 30-12. He has beaten Jackie Sherrill all 3 of their head-to-head meetings. Last year took the Tigers to the Cotton Bowl, where they lost to Texas. Number 7 in the country. And going for their first 5-0 start in 30 years. That 1973 team of Charlie McClendon actually started 9-0. And then things dropped off a bit. They lost the last 3. Let's check in again on USC Cal. Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, a USC fumble and a blocked Cal field goal attempt sent them to a second overtime. Cal scored in its first possession. Then it's Matt Leinart to Kerry Colbert, who just gets in, and so that bought them a ticket to round 3.
Dave, we never finished the discussion about what goes on in the players' minds when things continue to go bad. We'll come back to it after this.
That is the running back, a dive with a hip pointer, we're told, heading to the locker room. The depth of LSU tailback to be tested. And around Bivens, bangs into the free safety Travis Daniels at the 25-yard line.
What happens with a leader like Kevin Fant, who made that error that was just unbelievable a minute ago, he starts thinking, I cannot take this sack. I have got to make something happen, and he takes an undue risk, and that's how you snowball into more and more problems.
Fant, the number 2 passer in the SEC. That's out of character what we just saw. They set this up nicely. Screen, Bryson Davis, fullback. What an open field hit, too, by Jack Hunt, coming one series after that interception.
If LSU seems to know an awful lot about what's happening on offense for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, it's because that Morris Watts, the offensive coordinator for Mississippi State, used to work with Nick Saban, and they sort of know each other. There's Morris there with the glasses and more white hair than he had yesterday, I'm afraid.
Coordinated the Michigan State offense in '99 under Saban. Worked with him under George Perlis. Jarius Norwood knocked back rather emphatically by Kyle Williams. But with Saban on the staff of George Perlis at Michigan State, 86 and 87. And the LSU offensive coordinator under Jerry DiNardo in the mid-late 90s. Morris Watts would have come to LSU with Saban, but Nick worked awfully hard at Michigan State to get Morris lifetime health insurance. And Morris said, "Coach, you worked so hard to get me that I can't leave it behind." So he stayed behind when Nick took over at LSU. Morris, the acting head coach for last year, in and out of the hands of Jenkins. Speaking about a character. So it's Watts and Saban head-to-head, matching wits, longtime friends, longtime colleagues.
The other thing we didn't finish up, Dave, is you talked about, okay, we get behind and then we start executing and playing well. Why would that be a relief to a team? In fact, when it seems that all is lost, then you just cut loose, say, okay, let's finish the game, let's play hard. Then you get loose, you start making plays, you sort of try to catch up, and you play better. And that's not the idea. The idea is consistency.
Safety blitz, Landry. Fant got it off in time, and it's very close for a first down. But I believe Jenkins is going to be a hair short. Maybe worth measuring.
Now, this is a beautiful job by Kevin Fant. This is the kind of thing he's been doing this year. He sees LaRon Landry coming from deep. Number 30 is going to run clean, hit him right in the sternum. And he just zeroes in on Justin Jenkins, makes the throw, takes the hit. Great camera work by our guys here. That's hard to do, folks, and that is great football by the veteran quarterback.
And it is a first down.
Yep.
That's Fant at his best. Now a little option. Fant keeping for a yard, maybe two. The first three opponents for the Bulldogs, Oregon, Tulane, Houston, a combined 10-2 coming into this weekend. Now Oregon blasted by Washington State. Tulane getting blasted by Texas and Austin. Houston's been a surprise. So it's not as if Mississippi State has played nobodies. They've played some pretty decent teams, better than most probably expected them to be when they first saw this schedule. 28-0 behind Oregon. 28-0 behind Houston. The one that they really had in hand, it looked like, was Tulane. They led 28-14 with 5 minutes to go. Lost 31-28. Fant on the keeper.
And they've put another center in. That was a missed exchange. Center quarterback Chris McNeil, number 50, has come in and replaced at 63 Blake Jones at the center position. And he snapped the ball in the wrong count. That's
unintended keeper.
When it drops straight down, it hits the quarterback's hand. The quarterback's not expecting it. And you would hope that Fant would be trained to absorb the snap, even if it comes when he's not expecting it. But when only one guy's moving and it's the center, that's a bad feeling when you're the center.
Third and long. And Fant, one-handed catch. Bryson Davis just across midfield, though. Marcus Spears chasing down Davis. First couple of touches of the season on this drive for the redshirt freshman out of Plainview, Texas. And with 5:46 and counting second quarter, they'll have to kick it away again to LSU. Nothing sustained yet from Mississippi State. Robert Walls back hoping to pin Perry somewhere around his 10-yard line. Perry to the 19. Not much of a night for Walls, just 33 yards on that one. 5:21 to go before halftime. Tigers 17, Mississippi State nothing. You know, the thing about Ron Cooper going upstairs is we missed this.
If you've been injured.
In Mississippi State, where Mississippi State has allowed 17 LSU points, defensive coordinator Ron Cooper stressed to our crew before the first game of the season the importance of being on the field, not in the booth. He likes to see the eyes of his players see and feel the emotions on the sideline and be able to interact with them and signal all those plays from the field. Well, fast forward to tonight, you saw him. He's up in the booth, not down here with me. Now, this defense is allowing more than 500 yards per game and has been last in the nation in passing defense. So Coach Coop decided the change needed to be made. For the first time, he's upstairs, not down here, Dave.
This is Devery Henderson in a gain of 9. I really wish that things worked out where you could get down on the sideline because, you know, when a game's a blowout, he's worth the price of admission. I still want to know what that call was.
That call,
his backside to the field.
Well, that call was to indicate cushion to his players, and he did it at first facing the field. The guys came off, so we couldn't tell what your signal was, Coach. He said, by golly, I'm going to show them where they know what I mean by cushion, and that's where he got that signal.
All right. Second down and 2. And a dive back in. We were told with a hit point. He's back in. He's got a first down. Let's check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, Cal, USC. Overtime number 3 came down to a kickoff. Ryan Killeen for SC goes wide right, so pressure on Tyler Fredrickson. 38-yard attempt. He'd already had one blocked in this overtime. This one is true, and California wins it 34-31. Number 3 has an L.
Wow. Biggest one in Berkeley in goodness knows how long. Clayton had a rather quiet first half. Here's a gain of about 15, though, to the 45-yard line. So number 3 falls. One less unbeaten.
You name it, Clayton can do it. This guy is pure football player. He knocks people down when you're supposed to knock people down. He plays with great abandon. He tackles people when necessary. And, of course, he can catch the football and run away from you. He's just everything you look for.
He's played 2 ways, too. Played some safety against Arizona, also some safety against Texas in the Cotton Bowl. He's really a natural safety. Saban says he could be a phenomenal defensive back, and that's where they needed him.
Well, you're going to watch him play for a long, long time. He returns kicks well, and I still think the best thing I've seen him do is to cover kicks and cover punts. You simply can't block him. He makes every tackle, and they can't afford to risk him because he's had a bad ankle.
Yes, and this week, how much defense he hopes to play tonight, he says, none. Hope I never play defense. Not up to him, though. Mock on 2nd and 7 has Clayton on the slant. And it takes about 3 or 4 maroon jerseys to bring him down. It'll be a 3rd and 2.
The other thing he does is hold for extra points and field goals. He may very well be playing in the brass section in the band, selling hot dogs at Baton Rouge. He does it all.
Just to think that he could leave as their all-time leading receiver. The school that just finished seeing the spectacular career of Josh Reed. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Okay.
Well, this is the school Josh Reed just left. Clayton can break all his bones.
And that takes some doing.
Mock through the hands of Henderson. Clayton almost comes up with the rebound catch.
You see, I told you Clayton had bad hands. I have never seen him drop a ball, and that's the easiest catch I've ever seen him attempt because it's just a little waffler hanging up there. You know what Michael was doing? Michael Clayton was thinking about, I'm getting ready to score me a touchdown.
No, he was thinking about this. He was thinking about the bluegrass miracle. The Devery Henderson, 75 yards at the gun. Sure was.
He tipped that. He tipped that ball.
ESPY stuff there. Why it didn't work this time, we'll never know. They've got experience at it. Donnie Jones to kick it away. Very high. This guy's got a huge leg. And Nick Turner with a fair catch.
How big do you think it is?
Enormous.
Looked pretty normal.
Indescribable. Almost as if they practiced it. He just took his eyes off.
It actually hit his knee. Hard to believe. But that's an indication of another. It seems like when things are not going your way, normally if a ball's tipped up like that, you can expect the DBs, because they're facing in a zone coverage, they're facing the offensive huddle, they're facing the quarterback. They're going to pluck that and run the other way. Not this time. It goes right in Clayton's hands. They did get a break when he put it on the ground.
Red Reed taking a turn at tailback. Time for Mississippi State, if they can finally sustain something, get on the board, and Reed has a nice hold. And a first down. Matt, what have you in store for us at halftime?
Well, Dave, we have had a dramatic day around the country. It started with an unbelievable Florida-Kentucky finish in Lexington. We've got that. Overtime around the country. A couple of top 25 teams had to go to extra periods to decide their fates today. And the Big Ten, one of the top 10 teams in the country, was already lost today. More is still in trouble. It's all coming up at halftime.
Well, we saw Iowa look so strong in defeating Arizona State last week. They couldn't sustain it. LSU's done a nice job of following up their emotional win over Georgia. Sticking to business. Intended for Darnell Jones, incomplete. Tomorrow, final day of the baseball season. And ESPN2 will have a full day of Major League action. The hunt for October winding down, beginning at 1:30 Eastern, continuing at 4 Eastern. Coverage including baseball tonight. Braves, Phillies, Brewers, Astros, Pirates, Cubs, Dodgers, Giants. Whatever is worth watching, we will have for you. Just trust us. ESPN2 will be zeroed in on anything taking place of any import at all in baseball tonight. Shotgun draw for Reed. Reed, by far the smallest of the three tailbacks at 5'9", 180, junior out of Tampa.
LSU continues to apply pressure when they're on defense. Nick Saban's definition of full blitz is 6+ rushers. He doesn't count man free sending 5. He just calls that a pressure. Full blitz 6 or more, and there are the numbers on what they've done tonight. They're not going to just let you sit back there.
And after Fant, pocket rolls. And McKinley Scott with the grab. 15 yards, the march continues.
Beautiful blitz pickup that time, and they did come with a full blitz package. They brought the free safety Dockery again. He was picked up, so they had a nice call. You can see it all across the front here. Nobody free on the quarterback, and when you send everybody, you better get there, or you let Fant get out on the corner and make a nice throw. Excellent execution.
2 timeouts for the Bulldogs. First down, they're 46. 4-man rush. Fant feels it. That's a deflected interception. Look out, Travis Daniels. Goodbye. Touchdown. 49 yards on the deflected interception.
Well, I don't even know what to say except that that's how it is when it's going against you. Normally sure-handed people let the ball pop out of their hands. Fred Reed, number 5, is a veteran player, a junior out of Tampa, Florida. He normally catches everything. Not tonight. And when it tips up, it goes the other way.
O'Day, 24-0 LSU. Travis Daniels.
Remember what I said a minute ago, Dave? Normally when it's tipped up in the air, the defense and the zone. This was a zone. And Travis Daniels, number 29, was right there to pluck it and run it in.
Second pick of the year. Off Reed. 49 untouched yards. They have seen this way too often in Starkville. Just haul out all your cliches. When it rains, it pours. It all applies to Mississippi State.
But from the pure football standpoint, you got a veteran leader desperate to make a play. He's just trying to make something happen, get it to his skilled player, Fred Reed. It pops out of Reed's hands. He's surprised to get it. Travis Daniels is surprised to see it, but he knows what to do, and he enjoys jogging into the end zone. All that Yogi Berra would say, deja vu all over again for Mississippi State.
A good deep kick. Chris Jackson, touchback. Tomorrow night, Sunday Night Football on ESPN and ESPN HD. Peyton Manning goes home. Colts visiting the New Orleans Saints. It'll begin with NFL Primetime presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern. Sunday Night Football. Saturday night in the SEC. And a Mississippi State team which has twice been behind 28-0 in the first 3 games, behind 24-0. The picks continue to mount for Kevin Fan. 54 seconds, 2 timeouts. One would think they will just head to the locker room, let the clock roll. Reed belted by Chad Lavallee. This is an LSU defense which has more than lived up to the charge that Nick Saban gave him this week. Forget about last week. They're playing as if this is the season opener.
Well, Chad Lavallee is the ramrod. He has wonderful technique. He explodes off the football, controls the blocker, and when he tackles, it's a pop, just like you just saw. We're talking about the #1 defense in the Southeastern Conference. 260 yards allowed per game.
First in the league, 8th in the country, 6th in the country, scoring defense. Deep ball, Jenkins was being held by Corey Webster. Trouble is, there's only 7 seconds left for them to take advantage of the call.
Well, that's right. It's a 15-yard penalty. Interference, if indeed that is the call. If the defensive interference is the call, you never can be quite sure when it's jostling. Yes, that will be the call. Justin Jenkins, good speed. Corey Webster knows that. And when he reaches over and puts that hand on the middle and grabs a hold of the arm and holds it back, he's going to get called every single time. But it was an intelligent foul. Rather than risk giving up the touchdown, you just take the 15-yarder and you line up and play the next play with 7 seconds left.
Webster, the SEC Defensive Player of the Week, also won that award last year against Florida when he had 3 interceptions. He has taken to the position change from wide receiver, to say the least. So 7 seconds for the Bulldogs, 65 yards away. And chased. Bivens as the clock runs out. And the turnaround that Mississippi State hoped to see has not happened. The consistency of effort that Nick Saban hoped to see is very evident. Capitalizing on mistakes to lead 24-0. Starkville, we send in Matt Weiner in the studio.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. LSU has not been 5-0 since 1973, but this week Nick Saban, after watching some of the upsets, Michigan and the like, let down last week, warned his team about not having a letdown against Mississippi State. So far, so good in Starkville. It has been a very interesting day, to say the least. Some overtime games. A couple of top 10 teams have already gone down in South Carolina, making life difficult for Tennessee in Knoxville. That's Daniel Weaver to tie it up at 17. This is one of those kicks. Cal trying to put away.
If you're Nick Saban, not only are you happy with that first half, you're jumping for joy. That's a smile. I'm pretty sure that was a smile on Nick Saban's face.
That was a gas pain.
We have never seen Nick Saban that happy.
He's dancing. He's attempting to dance. He's got visions of sugar plums dancing in his head that his team might be learning how to keep the hammer down all the time.
24-0 as we start the second half. And Chris Jackson, River Ridge, Louisiana true freshman, has it teed up. Mississippi State has proven that they can come from way behind. They just haven't proven they can finish the comeback. So don't think it's over. Reed on this return, and a marker is down. Reed returning to the 32-yard line. So same old, same old. Mississippi State has been here down 28-0 twice already. And they've had one lead that they blew to Tulane, but this is all too familiar for them. But the one thing it does show about them is they have shown the ability not to quit when they get this far down.
No, they don't quit, but it's like a recurring nightmare. And there's something back to that amnesia thing, to try to wipe out the past and get into the present and play with all your heart and stop making these dumb mistakes. That's what they've got to do. Easy to talk about, very difficult to execute. Human beings are creatures of habit. We tend to keep doing what we've been doing, And that's what Mississippi State's doing here tonight, and it's self-destructive.
Kevin Fant, 2 interceptions, both extremely costly. 10 of 17, 97 yards. And Nick Turner had a fumble also in that first half. Let's go down below to Heather Cox.
Thanks, Dave. For Mississippi State, it was all too obvious. He said we have to win the turnover battle. They have not done that all year. For Nick Saban and LSU, he said we need to make some minor tweaks on offense. Specifically, we need to find a way to get the ball to Michael Clayton. He said we've got to continue to focus in this day and age of college football. A 24-point lead is nothing, and Mississippi State has come back on every opponent so far this year, Dave.
Well, he's mindful of that. Jackie Sherrill likewise. It's just hard to understand how this has happened to Jackie Sherrill's program. Fant almost picked off. In and out of the hands of Bryce Wyatt that time. Let's look at our ESPN2 game track. 21 points off those 3 Bulldog turnovers. This the 48-yard officially interception return by Travis Daniels. And the 2 touchdown runs by Chiron Carey. He had one on an option. The Tigers off to this big start. Yet another 3rd and long. Corner blitz, slant. McKinley Scott has it in a first down at the 37-yard line. And then lost it. Goodness sakes, Mississippi State absolutely cannot survive even the slightest bit of prosperity. They get a first down, and they cough it up again.
Well, there are no words. You come out to begin the 3rd quarter, and in any football game, the first 5 minutes of the 3rd quarter are among the most important. Now, I don't think that every analyst that stands up and says that, because he's heard it so many times, is right in every instance. But in a situation like this, to come out early and make something good happen, and the process was beginning that perhaps it could be good.
Now, what you're going to hear
comes out
is the boos of those who saw the replay screen. The fact that McKinley Scott was pretty close to being down.
Yeah, well, he wasn't down, though, and he had not touched the ground, and the ball came out, and Kirsten Pittman jumped on it, and now LSU's got the ball on the 38-yard line. They're going to go up top.
And wide open for the touchdown, Devery Henderson. LSU strikes 36 yards after the 4th Mississippi State turnover of the night.
What do you expect when you turn it over on your own 40-yard line? You know that the play caller for the other side, Jimbo Fisher, for LSU, is going to put it up. So you end up with your freshman, your best cover guy in man coverage, Quentin Culberson, and he gets beat by 6 yards. Indication of much work yet to do by this staff and this football team, and everyone will be held accountable. You are in the Southeastern Conference.
4th touchdown catch of the year for the senior from Opelousas, Louisiana, Devery Henderson. Scott fumbling it away to Daniels, his 2nd takeaway of the night. He has a pick and now a fumble recovery.
Yeah, I said Kirsten Pittman recovered the fumble. Kirsten Pittman's the one that pulled it out. Travis Daniels got on it. Now Culberson gets his shoulders turned. He was guessing on the route and simply got beat because Henderson was too clever for him. Turned him out, turned back inside, and Matt Mock is oh so happy. It's really fun to play football when you're ahead 31-0.
And you really only earned 3 of those 31 points. 4 turnovers turning into 4 LSU touchdowns.
And what this turns into for the Mississippi State program is a gut check. It's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week gut check to just find out who can keep perking, keep being positive, keep looking for the good. As Coach Sherrill says, try to take the pressure off the players and keep coaching them. Try to keep making them believe that they can do this thing.
Mississippi State had a massive coaching turnover during the offseason. Had about a half dozen one-time head coaches on the staff. Lead on the return. So this was not only not supposed to happen. Here's a marker down. This was supposed to be a year.
Guess who made the tackle?
A year in which Mississippi State returned to the usual competitive state.
Guess who made the tackle, Dave? Guess who made the tackle?
Michael Clayton?
Yeah, you guessed it. Very good.
During the return, we have holding against the receiving team, 10-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
I'm telling you, a total collapse. More of a collapse, it's hard to imagine. Every facet of the game.
When you lose your focus and you just start doing desperate things, you just start flying around, you're really just trying to get the game to be over. And that's just an awful way to try to play football.
Well, there's a way to go before this thing is over. And they've shown they can make them competitive. We'll see if they can do it tonight, down 31. Let's check in with Matt Weiner.
Dave, quite a reversal of fortune for the Marshall Thundering Herd. A week after beating Kansas State in Manhattan, Kansas, they go to play Troy State and lose, and there come the goalposts. The Trojans having themselves a night after a 33-24 win. Over on ESPN, guys, overtime in Tennessee, South Carolina, and the Vols tied up at 17.
And we will understand if you want to check in on that. Come on back. At some point, check in on this one again.
Well, I want to announce, Dave, that Michael Clayton is not in on defense. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything else about him until he catches a touchdown. I've talked enough about that.
Might happen. How did Mississippi State get to this point? This is a team that became accustomed to postseason. They won an SEC West in 1998. Led national champion Tennessee in the second half of that SEC championship game.
Yes, they did.
Jackie Sherrill says this recruiting class more talented than any he's ever had, except maybe Pittsburgh 77. The only difference being that class had a Hugh Green. Fant running for his life. So it's obviously not one area where you have to on where this program has fallen. Where is the first area you would zero in on, though?
Well, there's a disconnect between the coaching staff and the players. You got coaches that have won at every level. All these guys didn't become head coaches because they weren't successful as assistants. So you bring back a Ron Cooper, a Curly Hallman, and others, and the players just aren't getting it. And it's hard to tell what the cause is.
Very low. Carey, after fielding it on a hop, turns it into a nice return at the 38. And LSU will have good field position.
Chiron Carey got tired of being called a midget, and they introduced him at one of the team luncheons as a midget. He said, well, if I'm a midget, then I got a midget coach. Nick Saban said, nope, I'm at least 5'9".
You're going to be pretty confident in your relationship with your coach to call him a midget.
One of us is getting 2 educations.
Jackie Sherrill's been at it longer than anybody else in the SEC. Believe it or not, Houston Nutt is third with 6 years of tenure at Arkansas. And then you have Bill Fulmer at Tennessee in his 12th year, and Sherrill in his 13th. In happier times, pictured here after a bowl victory. And so tonight, working on an 8-game losing streak. Don't you respect people who take their assigned seat no matter what?
You've got to find the humor, I guess. 13th year, triskaidekaphobia. Not a word.
Not been lucky. Still in their quarterback. Let's check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, South Carolina and Tennessee into overtime. First possession goes to the Gamecocks. Daniel Weaver goes through the uprights. 24-yarder. Tennessee has the ball and is driving. We'll keep you updated.
All right. Triskaidekaphobia, if you're wondering, is fear of the number 13. Year 13 has not been a good one so far for Jackie Sherrill and Starker. 2nd and 3. The mark in LSU. swing passes to Skylar Green, the hero last week. Down to the 41-yard line, a first down brought down by Kevin Dockery, gain of 16 yards.
And it's remarkable what you learn when you've got a Stanford graduate for a producer. Kim Belton taught us Christodecaphobia, and my vocabulary has increased wonderfully by at least one word in the last 2 years.
He has outlasted 39 different head coaches since taking over.
Yep, and I'm two of them. Two of them that left. It's funny now again. Let me be serious for just a second. Having been through the situation, the two situations are never identical, but the players that you coach learn more from you in adversity than they do in the good times, and that's about the only consolation when you're struggling, so when you can't get anything to go right.
Well, the thing is, Jackie Sherrill is not a name you associate with trouble like this. You associate him with 11-1 3 years in a row at Pittsburgh and bringing Texas A&M from the depths of non-competitiveness to Southwest Conference championships, and bringing this Mississippi State program from a point where really no one was paying attention to them. No one considered them to be anything that you really had to contend with the SEC West, and until the last couple of years they've been right there with anybody else in this division. So again, it's so against the normal way of thinking about a Jackie Sherrill program that I think people here are still stunned at the idea that this is going to be their 9th straight loss.
Well, I think so. And what happens is something happens that you lose connection with the football team. And somehow you have to reestablish that, because if you don't, they're going to find somebody who can. And again, it is the SEC, and what people are interested in this league is victories. They're not interested in anything else.
Well, Mock just fires one up there in the crowd. He knows somebody's going to pull it down. In this case, it's Skylar Green, the exact opposite of what Mississippi State's experiencing. LSU has such confidence that anything's going to work.
Well, it's a bad decision. He throws it into a crowd, and he just hopes one of his guys will go up and get it. And sure enough, somebody, Skylar Green, number 5, went up and did just that. And let me elaborate on something I just said.
Mock keeping out of the gun, and he's inside the 20, down to Heather.
Dave, a year ago, Matt Mock told me he was rusty. He'd been away from the game for 3 years as a catcher in the Chicago Cubs organization, but his improvement is clear when you look at his numbers. Through 5 games now this season, Matt Mock has 3 times as many touchdowns. His efficiency mark is 70 points higher and leads the SEC. He said the improvement, he stopped thinking, started reacting, playing instinctive football, and Saban wants him to continue to take those risks, lay it out, not play too conservatively. The other improvement, of course, a very experienced O-line and wide receiver core, Dave.
Well, he's a pre-med major. One of the reasons he has that job is he can think. But there's a difference between what Heather's talking about, just letting it go, and overthinking.
Yeah, big thing. And I want to elaborate. I just said that people in the SEC were only interested in victories. I'm talking about for on the field. We're not in the SEC. They're not interested in just looking good. They want you to win the games. They're also, most of the institutions and coaches are dedicated to an outstanding academic program. Both these programs have worked at that, especially in recent years.
On a 3rd and 6, deflected, and almost a Slovakia Griffith interception. Let's check in again with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, we showed you South Carolina's field goal to go up by 3. Tennessee pounded it in close, and then it's Casey Clausen, fade me, James Banks, the former quarterback, the guy who caught the Hail Mary last week against Florida, gets the game winner in this one.
What did Lou Holtz just feel? Doubled over in disappointment.
Well, I'll tell you what he felt. It feels like death.
Godet with a field goal, 34-0.
Feels like death. And you just don't know. You just have to recover and get ready for the next one.
9 minutes to go, Clayton, and the Tigers still with a shutout.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday. Brought to you by Old Navy Painter's Pants. They'll work for you. And by Bowflex. Visit Bowflex online at bowflexendzone.com today.
How many decleaters is that for Michael Clayton?
Well, Demetric Wright, number 24, is going to step up and be physical with Michael Clayton, because that's what his coaches told him to do. If you're going to be physical with Michael, get ready. Demetric needs to get in the weight room because Michael is a physical guy.
That's a little late. Demetric's a senior. It's his last crack at Michael. Fred Reed with a return ended by the kicker, Chris Jackson. The true freshman from River Ridge, Louisiana, ending a 35-yard return of his kick.
Now, we've had a hard time talking about what it's like to coach in this scenario from the Mississippi State perspective, but every little positive thing, you build on it. Here's excellent blocking, a nice block by Turner down there to Springing. A nice long run, a return out to midfield. You get in the film session, and you point that out, and you try to build on that. Anything positive you can find. Nick Saban's still coaching his head off. He wants to play hard all the time.
Fant with the completion to Jenkins. Now we've discussed the travails of Jackie Sherrill. How about the success story Nick Saban has brought to Baton Rouge? 4 years now. He's going to be 31-12. He came from Michigan State with the expectation that he would get LSU back to where they have always expected to be, a national contender, and he has more than accomplished that. A championship in his second year, number 7 ranking, which figures to improve at least a spot or 2 this week. And LSU coming off a win over Georgia. Record crowd. That's Darnell Jones. They're drawing 92,000. They may have to put even more seats at Tiger Stadium. This program is about as good as they've ever been at this point, aren't they? Well, way back in the late 50s, Paul Dietrich won a national championship with Billy Cannon and those guys. But if you think Saban's not going to be intense with the score 34-0, he wants his guys to play the same way all the time without reference to the opponent or the score. And until he gets that, he's not going to rest. Marker whistles. Of course, the question that follows Saban around is how long is he going to be in Baton Rouge? It's a question he's a little bit tired of having to respond to, but somebody at some point figures he's going to be part of Monday Night Countdown. Comprehensive analysis, interviews, highlights, up-to-the-minute NFL news, live reports from Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football, of course, beginning at 9 Eastern, and this will be the opening of the new Soldier Field as the Bears play host to the Packers. People continue to speculate on how long Nick Saban's going to be a college coach. He has an NFL background, and the more success he has at LSU, the more the questions are going to come. When does he finally find an NFL offer that's too good to turn down? Well, he's really sick and tired of hearing it, and when you ask him about it, he says, you know, I don't know who brings that up. The only thing I can think of is because I happened to coach in the NFL for a while, they just assume that I want to go back. I'm not interested in going back. College coaching is fun. Now, he doesn't mention the fact that the money is very similar now. It certainly was not until the last 4 or 5 years. But you make such a terrific living. You really are working with young men. All 22 of his players from last year are on schedule to graduate this year. He likes that stuff. You don't get that in the NFL. Few places as fun to win as Tiger Stadium. You agree? Fant swarmed under. Safety blitz, Travis Daniels. Well, I would say from my perspective, having been a player at Georgia Tech and having played against LSU in Tiger Stadium in the early 60s and coached there in the 80s and 90s, there's no better place. And they love safety blitzes with Nick Saban. They love to see that stuff as long as it's not protected for the quarterback and long balls completed. 4th and 28. Summarizing the night, Robert Walls. Best punt of the night. And Carey drops back to his 5 to return this one. A 51-yard punt by Walls. Now, Mississippi State has had the ball for 44 snaps. LSU has a big lead. You would think, well, they'll just sort of back off and play. Wrong. Full blitzes 12 times. Nick
coaching like he always coaches, and the bigger the score gets, I predict the harder he will coach. He does not want to see that complacency set in. Stupid penalties. He's going to be jumping on the kicker for not giving him a deep kickoff as he did a moment ago. He's going to be jumping on culprits, and he's going to coach them really hard, and he's correct to do that. Otherwise, you get really sloppy and you start getting people hurt.
Got to figure Marcus Randall will make an appearance very soon. In fact, how about right now? Junior Baton Rouge. Matt Mock probably done for the night. He's 12 of 19, 171 yards and a touchdown. So now he gives way to Randall, Marcus Randall, who rooms with Mock. Very good friends, competitive, but a great relationship at the same time. Joseph Adai, we were told in the first half, had a hip pointer. We saw him go to the locker room. Next thing you saw is Joseph Adai right back taking handoff. So Mock, with those numbers, leaves with a 34-0 lead midway in the third quarter. Pretty deep at quarterback. They also have a true freshman they're trying to redshirt out of Tyler, Texas, Matt Flynn. Randall now in trouble and sacked back at the 2. The highlight of the night defensively for the Bulldogs, turned in by Willie Evans and Tommy Kelly.
Week in and week out, the coaches really do appreciate the fact that no matter what's going on, these players keep fighting, and Willie Evans is one of the main leaders and one of the main reasons. Tommy Nash, of such enormous potential. Tommy Kelly, I'm sorry, number 55, also on the play. Got the sack down near the goal line. These guys, no matter what, do continue to fight. And their coaches believe as long as that's the case, they got a chance to get in some games.
So on a 3rd and 15, Adai barely avoids a safety.
Wow. Did he avoid the safety?
He got it a couple of feet outside the goal, and
I'll tell you, Adai runs like a wounded rhinoceros. He just takes it up in there with such abandon, smashes, and I can see how he would get a hip pointer and might pass out a couple of hip pointers.
That'd be an angry rhinoceros, wouldn't it? I mean, a wounded rhinoceros.
Wounded and angry.
Would be slowed. Donnie Jones far back into his end zone as he can get. Another very high kick. And Turner trips over his blocker. I mean, what else are we going to see tonight?
Don't ask that anymore. You're going to get it.
Under 4 minutes. 34-0 LSU. Remember this? They will never forget it in Lexington nor in Baton Rouge. We'll have some more on it when we come back.
It's too.
Back in Starkville, Louisiana State up 34-0. Now, if the name DeVree Henderson rings a bell, it's because his claim to fame was catching that unlikely Hail Mary touchdown pass in what is now known as the Bluegrass Miracle against Kentucky a year ago. The reward, a Play of the Year nomination and a trip to the ESPY Awards, where he was sitting with players like Michael Vick, Barry Bonds, Emmitt Smith, Keyshawn Johnson, all of whom kept telling him he was a lock to win. Sounds great in theory, but in reality, DeVree said he was scared to death. So when the winner was announced, he says he was terrified. The only way he got through it was having his mom, Cheryl, there by his side. Henderson known as the quietest guy on the team. And I think, guys, it was the shortest acceptance speech of the night at the ESPYs.
Well, DeVree Henderson doesn't really have to say anything because he has earned his way into the LSU history book with the Bluegrass Miracle. Fant running for his life all night on corks one. It's underthrown and a flag down as Hunt breaks it up, intended for Jenkins.
DeVree Henderson was also the guy that ran the kickoff back to midfield at the end of the game last week to put LSU in a position to go down and score and win the Georgia game. So he is the big play guy along with Clayton and a couple of others. Chiron Carey, of course, Mock. This is what Nick Saban doesn't want to see. People getting sloppy. Jack Hunt is beat. The throw is underthrown. Jack Hunt runs back, puts his hand all over the receiver, pushes him back, and it might be a ticky-tack foul, but it is a foul. That's exactly why you see Nick Saban over there continuing to coach hard with the score 34-0.
So 1st and 10. Give out of the gun, and the LSU defense playing as hard as if it were 0-0. Jarius Norwood is hit for a loss.
They are playing hard, but they're also blitzing. Cameron Vaughn, Brian West in there in the backfield, nail him for a loss.
Fant picked off a couple times in the first half. Hunt, that time, this deflection off Reed. Daniels returned 48 yards for a touchdown. Then McKinley Scott with a fumble. You name it, it has gone wrong for the Bulldogs. 2nd down and 14, gunned over the middle, and a short gain by McKinley Scott. Hunt still in there along with most of the defensive starters. They figured to turn it over to the backups, you would think, for the entire 4th quarter of this one. So how good is LSU? Well, better than Georgia. We found that out last week. They look to be the class of the West, but the history of the SEC in divisional play is a team that looks really good in September is not necessarily the one that's going to be there in November. And Arkansas comes through with another enormous win. Overtime at Alabama today. Arkansas, LSU, you would think in November is going to decide the SEC West this year. Those two appear to be the class of the division. Now already today you've seen Cal in overtime over USC. Iowa lost at Michigan State. Oklahoma is idle. Ohio State finally did not have one go down to the last second. Virginia Tech winning easily. Florida State likewise. Tennessee just survived South Carolina in overtime. Michigan beat Indiana this afternoon. Jackie Sherrill using a timeout with 1:56. Sunday Night Football will feature New Orleans' own Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, the Indianapolis Colts against the Saints. 8:30 Eastern on ESPN and available nationwide on ESPN HD. It'll begin with NFL Primetime presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern. With 1:56 to go in the 3rd quarter. And a timeout. It will be a 4th and 13 coming up. This Mississippi State staff shaken up during the offseason. New coordinators under Jackie Sherrill. He continues to insist he feels no pressure. Feels that he has plenty of support in the administration. But then again,
well, I
never
think
been 0-4.
I think that's true, Dave. I think Larry Templeton, the athletic director here, and many of the people who make decisions understand what Jackie Sherrill has accomplished in terms of victories on the football field, and they're going to give him the season. I don't think you'll see a termination during the season, but the staff understands they've got to get connected with this team somehow, and they need to do it soon.
We were here for the opener against Oregon. Everyone was bubbling over with enthusiasm, and now it's turned into this. Another sack. Randall Gay, playing with a broken arm, suffered in week 1. Senior from Bruley, Louisiana. Versatile. He's played all 6 defensive back spots, including the nickel and the dime.
And there's just such diversity in the defensive attack, and they're just buffaloed. The Mississippi State protectors. Randall Gay coming off the corner. That's a corner blitz, bringing 6. Not enough people to pick him up, and yet another sack with pure zero-man coverage.
Randall gets his 2nd series at quarterback. Chiron Carey with another carry as we get late in the 3rd quarter. What do you say? Forget about during the game. The game is lost. What do you say during the week? What do you say when you face these players the day after a defeat like this, when you're 0-4?
players are looking to you for more than just football guidance, because it's all such a mystery. It's all so baffling. How could we get into a rut like this? We'll get back to it.
Where he got 9 yards on first down. And has the first down here at the 45.
And you make absolutely certain that it's clear to the players that nothing is going to be allowed to slip. We're not going to put pressure on you in terms of embarrassing you publicly. We're not going to call you out and blame it on the players. I didn't hear a single coach blame it on the players. The coaches are taking responsibility, but each of you has to take responsibility. That means class attendance. That means being on time. That means doing things properly. And you keep doing that until you start winning.
Well, as a matter of fact, Tommy Kelly says, blame us. Don't blame our coaches. Put it on the players. That's dropped by Dimitri Robinson with 42 seconds.
Well, you put it on everybody, and the great thing about football, whether you're winning or losing, is that there's no place to hide. When you cross that white line onto that green pasture there, it's the most honest place in the world. And if you're not getting the job done, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It just matters, can you get the job done? And if you aren't, you have to.
Going to be 4 in a row, 11 out of 12 for LSU over Mississippi State. They were here a couple of years ago, won 42-0. They have made themselves very much at home in Starkville. Carey, again up the middle. Last loss 4 years ago here, 17-16. That's the only Mississippi State win in the last 12 meetings, including tonight. Tigers have won, counting tonight, 6 of their last 7 trips to Davis-Wade Stadium.
Let's talk about when you're on the other sideline and you're Nick Saban and you're LSU. We've already talked about what he expects of his men, but he's in an awkward spot now, because do you keep running into a stone wall when they've got 9 at the line of scrimmage, or do you run your offense and throw passes? Then you get accused of running it up. Tough situation here.
Well, many of the folks here are wearing purple and gold. They're the ones that are standing and cheering. Not quite so many in the maroon. I'll give this to them. They're not booing. Those who are staying are just very quiet. Well, the Majorettes can still manage a smile, even though they're down 34-0. About 10,000 happy Tiger fans are here. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Heather Cox, 34-0 LSU. We begin the fourth quarter before what was probably around 50,000 or so. You're looking around the stadium, you see almost as much purple and gold now as you see maroon. Marcus Randall going deep and overthrown, intended for Skylar Green. Well, it's good. It's not the dining room at the Hotel Chester.
That is outstanding now. That is outstanding.
How does this SEC West look now? Arkansas has exceeded expectations. LSU at least living up to expectations. Between those two, they look like maybe not just the class of the division, the class of the entire league this year.
I think so. I think you're exactly right. They're tough.
Johnny Jones, a placement punt, and it will roll out of bounds inside the 10. Let's check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, you know the Pac-10, it's a point a minute out there, and so it is in Corvallis tonight. Arizona State visiting Oregon State. Derek Anderson on the slant to Kenny Farley, who goes 62 yards. Beavers have tacked on another touchdown, 21-7.
We saw Arizona State under Dirk Cutter shut out for the first time any Dirk Cutter offense has ever been shut out last week at Iowa.
I'll guarantee you what they're seeing tonight is more of what they saw from Iowa, that zone package, just breaking on the ball and trying to knock it loose, making receivers stay in front of the coverage.
And still the quarterback for Mississippi State. No gain for Fred Reed, our ESPN2 game track. Into quarter number 4 now. 4 turnovers, leading to 4 LSU touchdowns. Big one, 48-yard return, Travis Daniels, second quarter. 1 yard total in the third quarter for Mississippi State. 85 total yards for LSU. Mississippi State has rushed for 3 yards tonight. 134 total. That had been the strength of this team. They'd averaged 450 total yards per game. That's a nice catch. Reaching behind where the ball was thrown is Omar Connor. And it's good for 18 yards. But Randall Gay playing out there, broken arm and all.
If you wonder why a team like LSU is leading the league in defense, watch the closing speed. Fant starts to run away. Now watch the white shirts converge on him. Cameron Vaughn, Jason Ledoux. Wow, just like lightning.
Best catch of the night turned in there by Connor. Slant Jenkins. Pretty quiet tonight. Daniels quickly with the tackle. So the SEC with Arkansas's overtime victory at Alabama. Auburn, the negative surprise of the year. They were top 5 in many preseason polls nationally. Shut out at home by USC, never really recovering. Ole Miss, as usual, plenty of offense, not much defense. In fact, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, bottom 2 pass defenses in the country coming into this week. It looks like it's an LSU Arkansas West. In the East, you're so used to Tennessee, Florida. The last couple of years, you've had to put Georgia atop that picture.
That's right. And South Carolina showed that they can play with Tennessee tonight. They didn't look good against Georgia, but I think they'll be a factor. They'll beat some people. I don't think they'll win the East, but they'll beat some people.
Florida still winning out of habit. Somehow pulled that one out at Kentucky today. Up near midfield, near a first down, Ray Bivens. But there's never a year where the SEC isn't going to be interesting. Just what is interesting is the last couple of years, how the coaching hires have turned out so well at LSU and Georgia. Nick Saban and Mark Richt.
Yeah, and then years prior to that, the Lou Holtz hire at South Carolina, the Houston Nutt hire at Arkansas, really significant. I think the Mike Shula hire is going to work out beautifully at Alabama, but I think it's going to take time.
Fant will keep on the option and turn it up big. Run out of bounds at the 30.
And here's another thing that Nick Saban will not like. You put your reserves in, and you want them to play just as well and just as hard, and they are playing hard, but you don't want to get a track meet. You understand? You just watch Nick, and you see exactly what I'm talking about. The option was not played properly. Jack Hunt, the free safety, was supposed to fill the alley, fly up in there, and not run up there and engage a blocker. He's not getting the defense that he wants here the last couple of snaps.
23 yards for Fant. Now play fake, steps up, and down he goes again. Dave Peterson on the sack.
And again, Cameron Vaughn showing terrific burst and closing speed, along with Dave Peterson, number 46 and 57, respectively. And for these young players to get a lot of action is really what Saban and his staff wants, but he wants them to play with the same intensity, no matter what the score is.
5 sacks allowed by Mississippi State tonight. That one for loss of 7. First time Morris Watt's Bulldog offense hasn't been productive. Fant on the scramble, underthrown and incomplete. This does not look like Kevin Fant at all tonight.
No, it's the first time they've played against the #1 defense in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, LSU completely bumfuzzled David Green of Georgia last week. I have never seen David Green confused, but he went 6 for 15 on third down. And the previous week he had been 7 for 7. And prior to that he had been something like 15 out of 17 in the prior 2 games and just couldn't get it done because the LSU defense gives you so many looks and has so much speed.
Front 4 of LSU tipped 7 David Green passes last week. And the defense broke out the total of 11 of his passes. McKinley Scott. And it will be 4th and still about 11 to go. David Green had never lost on the road before last week.
They're 4-0. They're still blitzing. And the reason they're still blitzing is because that's their defense. He's
sure
going
Nick
to blitz.
Saban isn't behind 34-0?
Nick Saban's going to start blitzing when you get off the bus. He'll blitz you in the locker room. He'll blitz you after the game because that's how he plays. And he's not interested in his players going out there and lollygagging through the 4th quarter. There was a guy named Lombardi that was the same way. He would be all in your face to finish the game.
This is LSU's 2nd and 3rd teamers. Tangled up, and here comes the flag. Corey Webster tripping up McKinley Scott. Webster, the SEC interception leader for the 2nd straight year.
You watch Bill Parcells in the 4th quarter. Now he's not going to have many big leads. I'm sorry, Dave. I know you're a Cowboy fan. But if he gets a big lead, you watch him in the 4th quarter if his guys start slipping a little bit, and you'll see him jumping in people's face. And that's how you do it. You establish habitual behavior so that they don't have the habit of making a couple of good plays or winning a couple of games and then taking a break. Nick takes the responsibility on himself, as does Parcells and others like them, to make sure the players are always on edge.
So the drive continues. Fant to the end zone. And caught. Touchdown. Justin Jenkins ends the shutout.
And even on that, Kevin Fant took a shot from Jesse Daniels, true freshman, strong safety, in his face. Justin shows why he's one of the leading receivers in the history of this pro. What a great adjustment on the football. That's body control. That's flexibility in the torso. That's hand-eye coordination.
That is a really bad pass.
And a really bad pass. And you'd think Nick Saban just went behind in the game.
Jenkins takes that away from Webster. And now the try for 2. Fant on the roll. And no, out of bounds. Incomplete.
Now the crowd will boo because they watch a lot of NFL, but the rules in college say that the foot has to touch down, 1 foot. If you're tackled and carried out of bounds, doesn't matter. In the NFL, it's a judgment by the official. If he thinks you might have come down, he'll give you the catch.
Ty Freeman, intended receiver. One more look at this. Terrific touchdown by Jenkins. No more shutout.
Central.
Bulldogs finally get some points. 34-6 LSU. 10-12 to go in the 4th quarter. LSU will have this remaining schedule, and it is a challenge every week. Florida's up next after a week off. They go to South Carolina. Auburn, they have the Louisiana Tech that won at the Michigan State that beat number 9 Iowa today. They go to Alabama, to Ole Miss, and they close with Arkansas. Avery Henderson to the 32. So it's going to be a challenge to come close to this level every week because they're going to have to every week.
They're going to have to, and Nick Saban knows that full well, and that's his whole point. That's the emphasis, and that's what he's trying to accomplish. It's a wonderful thing to have this kind of lead, a 28-point lead in the 4th quarter, and you can get all in your player's face and keep hammering home your message. Don't get over here and take your tape off and sit around and start drinking Gatorade and staring at the talent in the stands. Stay in the football game. That's his message.
They followed up their 2001 championship with a great start last year. Henderson still in there to do some damage. And then Matt Mock injured his foot, tore ligaments against Florida game 6. Randall came on at that point. He started the last 6 games. And they lost 4 of those 6, including the Cotton Bowl. So they have seen the job finished 2 years ago. They have seen things fall apart as last year. Henderson shaken up here and limping off with a 28-point lead. Let's go down to Heather.
Well, you talk about Marcus Randall as the backup. Matt Mock, during that last defensive possession, told his quarterback, hey, enjoy this opportunity, relax. There's absolutely no pressure. Take advantage of it. Yes, Marcus Randall had a season-high 9 completions and a touchdown against Arizona. But Matt really said you've got to take advantage of it. Seize the opportunity, go out there and just have some fun.
Good friends, road roommates, both juniors. Home injuries. A game that is decided and has long since been decided.
That's the other issue that the LSU coaching staff faces now. You don't want to get sloppy, so you're not going to put in the guys that haven't gotten any reps carrying the ball in practice. And yet you hold your breath every time a die goes up in there. Every time Devery Henderson struggles to get up and limps off the field, you just gag a little bit because you can't afford to lose one of these guys. Talking about that schedule coming up.
Die carry for the first down. Randall keeping on the option. And Jason Clark drags him down near midfield. Now Mississippi State. We were talking earlier today, and based on how they had looked offensively the first 3 weeks, looking at the schedule, it didn't look like there was a game that they couldn't win. Now, if the offense plays like this, there's also a game they can't lose.
Well, they're only playing one more defense that looks like this one, and that's Auburn. That's that one right there. 3 games down.
Well, their issue after a week like this will be, can they keep playing this hard? And Quentin Culberson with a hit of the night.
Auburn has linebackers that can fly, and they would match up. Watch this now.
Now another limp off, and it's Chiron Carey.
It's a bad feeling. I will never forget coaching in a game against Vanderbilt. We're up 44-8, and we still got Bobby Humphrey on the field because it's early in the 4th quarter. He limped off the field and had a broken foot, and I've never forgiven myself. You pull those guys out. You just have to.
Well, that hit by Culberson, who goes 216 pounds, on Carey, who's 198, 5 feet 6. So off he limps. Wayne Bowe with his first catch, true freshman out of Miami.
Man, he looks like one of those Miami receivers.
He does.
Except he's not in the green and orange. He's in this purple and gold, and looks like he's going to be a big timer.
It's just his 3rd year of football. He began playing as a junior in high school. Meanwhile, as you saw, Carey getting checked. Devery Henderson also has limped off. So you would expect that you'd see the Justin Vincent, Barrington Edwards. Backups, no more starters. Here's Justin Vincent, redshirt freshman at Lake Charles, will get us down to the 7-minute mark. Henderson, since he's not by trainer and since he's smiling yet figures, has walked that off. And a big night for Devery. 7 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown.
And you just have to hope that Chiron Carey's injury is a small one as well.
Henderson, after that Bluegrass miracle just 2 weeks later, ended his season, broke his forearm. Vincent gets outside, gets in a foot race. There's Dockery, and is inside the 5-yard line. No matter who they run out there, they're deadly. 38 yards for Justin Vincent.
Well, Marvin Birdsong had contain on that, number 32, the linebacker for Mississippi State. And the instant that you feel that outside and you feel like you can pop out there, Justin Vincent sees that he's got it, and he's going to take it. So you got to keep contained. Number 32 right there. This guy right here that's now chasing, he's in a trail position. He's not going to catch that tailback. He should have turned him back inside where the other tacklers were coming, and that's the basics of defense that the Mississippi State staff's been so hard, attempting so hard to teach.
Down and goal. Vincent, an angle for the pylon. He got it. Touchdown. Justin Vincent with his second collegiate touchdown.
If you were required to describe LSU's football team in one word, you weren't allowed to talk about systems or coaches or size or anything like that. Just one word, you'd have to say speed. Speed, speed. Everybody can run.
Another extra point by Ryan Godet. They have played 14 true freshmen already this year. Here's a redshirt freshman, Vincent, who adds to the lead, 41-6.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday, brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. And by Drylock, guaranteed to stop water.
Pretty evenly split right now because the purple and gold have hung around to celebrate every last second. It's now 41-6. Let's check in with Heather.
Dave, the one blemish on an otherwise perfect night is certainly the trio of injuries LSU has suffered in this third quarter, the most serious of which is certainly Carey's right knee. The doctors did just tell him that the ACL test is negative, no tear there, but he did sprain his MCL. He is definitely out for the game, will likely undergo an MRI tomorrow. The other two injuries, less extensive, to Jack Hunt, the safety, a right hyperextended knee, as well as DeVree Henderson, a right knee as well. He may return to action, but both Hunt and Carey are finished for the evening.
Man, that's a very high price in a game you're winning by 35 points.
Yep.
3 frontliners.
It's very difficult. It's much like scrimmaging in the preseason. If you pull your top guys every time you get a lead, and you're getting a lot of leads, Kyle York in at quarterback here, number 17. If you pull them every time, then they get rusty.
Sophomore Spring, Texas, 60207. York throwing complete. T. Millens, sophomore here in Starkville with his first catch. Baseball wrapping up tomorrow, final day of the regular season. Anything worth watching we'll have for you on ESPN2. Any milestones, races decided now, but be able to see, for instance, whether Barry Bonds can continue his assault on 660 career home runs, chasing down Willie Mays. Begins at 1:30 Eastern, continues at 4 Eastern. You're on ESPN2 tomorrow afternoon. Fred Reed with a flag down. And those games will include Braves, Phillies, Brewers, Astros, Pirates, Cubs, Dodgers, Giants. Holding, it's coming back. Cubs came through with a doubleheader. And take care of the Central today. Fant 19 of 32 first half interceptions, which pretty well decided the game.
One of them was strictly a freak that bounced off. It was a tip ball off his
10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay first down.
Ball went off his receiver's hands and was not his fault. Another one was just one of those that you just can't explain and you cannot make an excuse for. He just chunked it down the middle late, and it was an easy pick, and the touchdown resulted, and that was pretty much it for this football game.
It'll be a test the rest of the season for Fant, because remember last spring he was wondering whether he wanted to play any more football. And Jackie Sherrill suggested he take a week off in spring. Reed on the carry. He went home, and one of the things he had to decide was how he wanted to be remembered. He wanted his friends back at Moss Point, Mississippi, to remember that he had started out a career that for a while went pretty nicely, and then whatever happened to Kevin Fant, he did not want that to be his legacy. So he came back refreshed, rejuvenated over the summer, came into this season looking more forward to football than he had his whole time here.
And he's been a leader through this adversity. He's played really well, except for the interceptions, and until tonight. So he's just got to pick it back up starting tomorrow.
The Mississippi State quarterback with 4 300-yard games. That one's incomplete. Intended for Omar Connor. So York finishing up here. And we'll try and come back. Start from scratch next week. Tonight, notwithstanding, this has been a dangerous offense. It's just been an offense that has literally come from behind from the opening kickoff of the season.
You know, we hadn't talked about that, but that's a bad situation to be in. You never really get to run your game plan. Morris Watts is such an established coordinator. He's never really gotten to run it because he's always been behind, always trying to catch up.
Well, even so, the Morris Watts offense is evident with the number of formations, the inventiveness, especially of the passing game.
Dead ball foul, delay of the game against the offense. A 25-second clock expired, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Baseball tonight will wrap up everything that happened today, particularly the Cubs clinching of the National League Central Division. The one game it looked like Mississippi State had, 28-14 up on Tulane with 5 minutes to go. They let that one get away. That one goes on the defense, 31-28.
All those O-linemen got the same barber. And I think they need to let it grow out. Fellas, let it grow out a little.
Safety blitz causing the incompletion with 4:42 to go. So another Mississippi State punt. Whoever the barber is, getting his money's worth.
I'll tell you something wonderful that LSU's doing. They've dedicated their season to their longtime equipment manager, Jeff Boss. They've given him a game ball. They're going to name the locker room after him. Jeff came down with cancer in January, and Jeff, the team's really pulling for you.
Even the punt's not much to speak of tonight. 32-yarder here. 4:24 to go when we come back to Starkville. Want to hear an impressive number? First half composite scores in the first 5 games. LSU 103, LSU opponents 3. They coming out with some half-decent game plans?
Well, they're just annihilating people. But this is the first SEC team they've played, and Nick Saban's right. When they meet somebody that's close to them in talent and execution, they're going to have a real test.
Only Georgia has scored in the first half against them this year. So they will improve to 5-0. They already had their highest in-season rankings since 1998. They were 6th week 3 that year. Things fell apart. They lost 7 of the final 8. Next year went 3-8. Next thing you knew, Nick Saban had replaced Jerry DiNardo. Sunday night matchup, Peyton Manning back home in New Orleans. Colts Saints, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. NFL Primetime presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern. Whistles on what'll be a 2nd down and 11 here. And a timeout. Nick Saban uses a formula looking to the NFL. He says 90% of the NFL wins the last couple of years have gone to the team with the higher quarterback rank. Mississippi State at the very bottom of the pass defense.
Rush Pro.
Well, you can almost make out your top 10 even before all the games are complete, because Oklahoma idle, Miami, and then USC will fall after losing in overtime to Cal. Ohio State finally did not have one go down to the wire. They handled Northwestern. Virginia Tech, easy winner. Florida State, likewise, over Duke. Everybody up 1 under USC. Let's check in with Matt Weiner.
Dave, with the exception of that Oklahoma game, UCLA has played tight football games throughout, and so it is with San Diego State tonight. Drew Olson to Junior Taylor to open it up a little bit, makes it 10-3 Bruins.
San Diego State, one of a number of teams that look back and say, man, how did we lose to Ohio State? Looked like we had it. Looked like Bowling Green had it. More often than not, they have gone down to the final play. Not today against Northwestern. LSU still throwing. That is ruled an incomplete pass.
Willie Evans rushing from the backside on Randall. And you might ask the obvious question, what in the world are they doing throwing the football? Well, they're trying to get Randall some reps in case he has to go in a game and play and win a game for him next week. They don't want this kind of rep. This is the best, the worst way. Well, if you want to hurt a quarterback, that's the best way. To have his arm grabbed when he's trying to throw it forward. It dislocates the elbow or the shoulder.
Not so sure that was a forward pass either. Booming kick here. Turner with the ill-advised decision to return it. What are you thinking there? Well, 57 on the kick. Almost turns into a safety. And Nick Signiago getting out a little frustration.
Nick's confused. He thought he was back in wrestling in high school. He was going to get the pin. And that was the long snapper. Long snappers have that sort of stuff done to them all the time. Bless his heart. Steve Damon, the long snapper for LSU, you're there with your head down. They're not allowed to hit you in the head anymore, but they can leap on you and crawl all over you and do what Signiato just did. And there's no rule against it. Bad feeling. Not any particularly great accomplishment, however.
Al York again, the quarterback. Reed on the carry. This will be 9 straight losses for Mississippi State. 21 of the last 27. Baseball tonight. Wrap up of all the pennant races. When we're done. This season was already a trying one for Jackie Sherrill even before it kicked off. He had gone through an enormous series of personal trials during the offseason. His brother on life support. Jackie had to be the one to decide to take him off life support. Wife Peggy diagnosed with cancer. She is doing fine. She's walking up to 5, 6, 7 miles a day. So that's the happy news and by far the most important news in the Sherrill household. But he's had a lot of things that.
And he lost his mom.
And his mother at age 98 passed away. So he's had a lot of things that will really force perspective on you, I suppose.
Well, this season and the previous 2 seasons also forces perspective, because when you coach and you're accustomed to winning and you think you know how to win, and a situation suddenly seems to fall into the doldrums, you can't quite get it to come out. That's a very frustrating thing.
From his own goal line, the deep ball. Incomplete, intended for Will Prosser. Broken up by Travis Daniels. He's had a terrific night. Returned an interception, 48 yards for a touchdown.
I repeat this again at the risk of being too repetitive, but Nick Saban wants these young players to go on the field and play hard and play competently, because this is their chance to get some reps against a real opponent, because they're going to be needed. All these youngsters are going to be needed with that tough schedule that you pointed out, Dave.
From his own end zone, Robert Walls. Green. 41. LSU has played as if it was nothing. Offensively, defensively. Defensively, they added up 77 plays against Georgia last week, 35 blitzes. They have so many blitzes they've run out of names for them. They're using the names of states. So you're limited to 50. Could they possibly have more than 50 blitzes?
No, they don't have 50 blitzes. They got a lot of them. They want you to think they have 50. Okay, here comes 6. See, sometime when that safety runs through, the defensive tackle is dropping out. So it ends up just being 4 rushers or 5 rushers. You got a man-free coverage, which is sort of a normal coverage. You got a big guy like that guy Lavallee might even get to drop here, although I doubt you'd drop him. He's too good a pass rusher. And so Saban doesn't count that as a blitz. But to the quarterback, it just looks weird. And it confused even David Green, who's sort of the master of recognition.
Talking
about the Georgia quarterback, excuse me.
Carry by Barrington Edwards, true freshman, Bowie, Maryland. He got 6 yards. As LSU runs out the clock. Edwards again, ball comes loose. And Mississippi State with a recovery. The LSU turnover, their second of the night.
And T.J. Mawini, the fine middle linebacker, former walk-on for Mississippi State, playing his guts out right till the last whistle, is the one that popped that out.
Delwan Robinson gets the recovery.
53 hasn't let up. Well, the ball was already out. Okay, it was out before T.J. got there. Somebody came around from the backside and got his hand in there and got it out.
This will not be a fond memory for T.J. Mawini from Madisonville, Louisiana.
No, Louisiana boy.
He won't remember it. He won't remember a thing. Just it was a good man.
Bless his heart.
Final minute now. Fred Reed.
What a nice tackle. What a nice open field tackle that was.
Well, I don't know if we learned anything about LSU. We knew they were really good. I tell you what, one thing we did learn, and this hasn't always been true of LSU, it hasn't always been true of Nick Saban teams. They have learned a little something about living with prosperity.
They kept their focus.
In the past, they've not been able to follow up big emotional wins, and boy, did they ever do it tonight.
That was Ronnie Prude, number 1, that made that excellent open field tackle and kept Reed in bounds to keep the clock running.
Deep ball incomplete, intended for Antonio Hargrove. Daniels, the starting free safety, still in there to make every play he can. Hasn't always been this way. LSU 97 beat number 1 Florida, lost to Ole Miss the next week. 98 beat Mississippi State, lost to Ole Miss. At Michigan State, Saban beat number 3 Michigan, lost the next 2 to Purdue and Wisconsin. So mission accomplished today. They have followed that 24-hour rule, forgot about the Georgia success. What would you want to discuss with 13 seconds to go here?
They were trying to get some kids in the game. So you got some good walk-ons. You want them to get a chance to go out and play so they can say, I played in an SEC game. And you end up with 13 guys on the field and you got to call timeout. That's what happens.
You know who really hates this is my man Jeff Brantley, who's back waiting for baseball tonight to start. Loyal Mississippi State fan that he is. It's already been a painful evening. And Nick Saban is making it last even longer for poor Jeff Brantley.
He's not doing it on purpose. You tell those youngsters they can go in there. 8 of them will run out there for 1 spot if you're not careful. You got to call timeout, get them back out and say, no, I mean you, and you. You go in. The rest of you, you just wait. We'll try to get you in next week.
Jeff Brantley, Steve Berthium following baseball tonight. The Cubs clinch the Central. A dramatic Tigers victory. Those words have not been spoken in a number of years. Maybe the 1984. Yeah. And playoff previews coming up on Baseball Tonight.
You mean the Detroit
Tigers had a dramatic win. They're trying not to lose
in baseball.
They're trying not to lose 120 games.
You're sure the Detroit Tigers have won? I'm flabbergasted.
Intended for Hargrove. Time for probably one more play. And look for LSU number 6 next week. It'll be their highest ranking in 5 years. 5-0 for the first time since 1973 when they won their first 9 games. And Mississippi State 0-4 for the first time since 1968. A trial the likes of which Jackie Sherrill has never experienced. Airing another one out for Hargrove. who makes a great attempt, but can't come up with it, and it's all over. And LSU knocks off Mississippi State to stay unbeaten. 41-6 is our final. For Bill Curry, Heather Cox, and our entire ESPN crew, this is Dave Barnett. So long from Starkville, Mississippi. This has been a copyrighted presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Baseball tonight.